the leader in high-performance driveline components. Our tour of Moser Engineering continues. And where do those axles get their start? Well, it's across the street from Moser at their sister company, Performance Tool. We'll have that and more coming up on Married with Dragsters.
Married with Dragsters, new car build brought to you by Ohio Crankshaft. Quality and innovation for over 40 years. Moroso, it's our passion for racing that drives us. And by Moser Engineering, the leader in high-performance rear-end components.
When building or upgrading our race cars, there are a lot of different components out there you can choose from. But when it comes to drivetrain, for our Dragsters, Moser is number one. That's all we use, and that's all we've ever used. When we upgraded Kathy's old car, one of the things I wanted to change out was the old axles. I mean, there were 35 spline, 13-year-old axles, and they still had the welded M/E on them, which was the signature of a Moser axle back then. And even though they were still in fine working condition, we wanted to upgrade like we did with my 09 car and go to a 5-on-5 bolt pattern, star flanged, gun drilled 40 spline axles. The 5-inch bolt pattern is a lot stronger than the 4 3/4, which is what she had. And if we ever need to change wheels in an emergency, we can do that back and forth in between the cars. As I said, when we built my car back in 09, I used an M9 Moser rear end with those same components. I've been real happy. We've been putting down a lot of horsepower and haven't even put a dent in those axles, or the spool, or the gears, or anything as far as that goes. And it was real interesting to see how the M9 is hand built. I did not realize that they weld everything by hand. And TIGging is an art. I mean, I weld every day. You're either good at it or you're not. And they definitely do a nice job. I mean, we haven't had any of the welds crack or anything. I've had some severe tire shake in my car. And a lot of times that will crack a rear end housing. And we looked it over, everything looks good. And that attests to the excellent job that they do at Moser. I didn't get to go to PRI this year with Kathy, but she did get a visit with Jeff Anderson from Moser Engineering and learn all about the history behind the company.
Now let's talk about where it all got started, and we think Moser axles.
Yes.
And let's talk about the different axles, obviously, that are available even for my application. But we're going with the star flanged, and we're doing the gun drilled. We're doing them all up. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can get axles. It's not just a cookie cutter type of thing at all.
Exactly, and that's something that Moser Engineering built their business on. When Greg started this company years ago to supply his racing habit, it really was about timeliness. A racer would break apart back in the late 70s. They would break something, and it would literally take a month, 4 or 5 weeks to get replacement axles. And
ruin their season pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah, when you're running for points, you can't be out 4 or 5 weeks waiting on the product. So
exactly.
That's where Greg's seen a niche, and he attacked it the way Greg did. I mean, he was a very intense individual and a very smart guy, and he developed a very unique and still to this day unmatched process for cutting and spline axles and delivering product in a two-day time period. I mean, that's unheard of. And even today, here we are in 2011 going into 2012, and there's very few companies out there that can take an order, produce the product the same day, and ship it out the same day. We offer a one-day service now that many people aren't aware of. Where you can order a pair of axles Monday morning, and they can ship out Monday afternoon, and you can actually have them next day on Tuesday.
Tell us a little bit about the thoughts behind and the process and how you guys came up with the fabricated housing.
Well, it was one of those things that with Tim Irwin working in our research and development department, and with Rob getting back into the racing program a few years back, we really wanted to start with a clean sheet. We had used a lot of different products, and you have little things that you see that you wish was a little different, you wish was a little better, a little stronger, tabs in a different location, suspension geometry, all that comes into play. And I think that's the key with Rob Moser is that when he's out there racing on a every weekend basis, or practically every weekend, you really get to refine the product in a way that most other companies can't, because the president of that company is not the one that's actually out there racing. And we're in a unique position with Rob, and that he's actually the guy testing the product. So it really helped us to design the new M9 when we started building this a few years back, and gave us a lot of insight and just a lot of education and knowledge that it's hard to garner any other way.
Kevin and I run the Dragsters, which we see the Dragster housing up here, but we come on down. There's something pretty much for every application.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we do everything from a street car where you can install an M9 and an F-body with a torque arm setup, clear up to top Dragster, and even Pro mods with the full floater setup that we have. I mean, we pretty much have a wide selection of M9 cans for just about any application. Where we do all of our M9s, this really is kind of almost an artist station, because the guys that build these fabricated cans, every one is unique. It isn't thrown in a machine and a robot welds it. These are all done by guys that have years and years of experience doing this stuff. So it's the best of the best when it comes to our welders. If you've ever seen any of our cans or any of our welding, we get people that say, hey, nice when you got robotic welders. We don't have robotic welders. These are all done by hand. These guys are just really that good.
Yeah, TIGging is an art.
It is. It is. But yeah, so this is where we do a lot of our custom fabricated can work is done right here. If the guy's looking for something unique, this is where it happens.
Married with Dragsters, new car build brought to you by Ohio Crankshaft, Moroso, and by Moser Engineering on Competition Plus TV.
Performance Tool is a 25,000 square foot facility where we're predominantly a CNC production facility. I would say that our niche is probably medium to short range runs. We do about 65% of what we do is we work with Moser Engineering on, and then the rest we're contract machiners on that we provide to tier 1 manufacturers. The items that we manufacture for Moser Engineering are all sourced, be it material, be it casting, be it a forging, are all sourced in the United States. The tooling is all designed in conjunction with Moser Engineering and Performance Tool, okayed by Moser Engineering, and given the approval. The production parts are given approval by Moser Engineering before we sign off on the tooling. The materials all the material certs are certified being sourced in the United States, and then when they come to our facility, obviously they are machined in the United States. This particular part here is the through bolt case, aluminum performance case that we manufacture for Moser Engineering. It is cast here in the United States on our design tooling, and then machined here in our facility, where it will then go to Moser Engineering to be used in their performance rear ends. This particular piece here is Moser Engineering part number PY300. It would be used for a Pro Gear setup in a Ford 9-inch rear end. It is forged here in the United States, again out of United States material, and it is a chrome moly type material. And then it will come into our facility where we'll do the rough machining. It will then be sent out to be broached at a local facility, and it'll return to our facility where then we will do the finished machining, make sure everything's true and that the parts running true. As a final op, it will come off of the lathe. This is the first stage of an axle before we start machining it, and that's the raw forging blank there. And then after it'll go through 2 operations here where we'll do what we call the rough machining, and then the axle will go to a heat treat, and we do our own heat treat for this type axle here. And after heat treat, it'll be straightened and it'll come back in for a finish turn. And there's 2 ops for that. Then it'll also be straightened after that, and it's good to sell.
We have always held Moser Engineering with a very high regard. The products, first of all, speak for themselves. Their support of Sportsman drag racing is almost second to none. But after being able to take this tour from the front office at Moser Engineering through customer service all the way through where the products are manufactured and even across the street to their sister company at Performance Tool, the hours that are spent in all of the engineering that they have done to make some of the finest end products imaginable, well, these folks, they truly love what they do, and it shows. And now after seeing all of this on our tour, man, was I ever ready to get my new Moser M9 and axles for the new American car.
So these are all the goodies.
This is the housing to go in into Mark's American race car chassis. Axles, center section, everything I think you need to get you down the track reliably.
Look how nice that all looks.
Of course, you just seen that getting manufactured across the street in our sister company.
You know, and that's what's so cool too is to have seen that stuff across the street and then be able to come over and say, this is mine.
And the fact that we're using all made in American products.
From the housing ends that we've seen getting made,
right?
The center sections that we've seen running through the machine, to the axle cores that they were working on too. So,
holy cow!
Gun drilled, star flanged.
Wasn't going to be picking it up from that direction. How nice that looks. It's cute. Did anybody ever say that their axles are cute? Probably only me. And you don't realize one being shorter than the other. I mean, you don't really think about that when everything's all put together. But to see the difference in the lengths between the two.
Typical for a 9-inch, and because of the way the differential is set up, what a lot of people don't realize on a Ford 9-inch, you got the center of the pinion here, but the center of the carrier is actually offset. So you will have one axle that is longer than the other in a Ford 9-inch. Typically, depending on the carrier, it's going to be around 4 inches difference in length. It's pretty standard.
And what gear did we end up going with for chassis?
Let me look at this real quick on the work order. It looks like we went with the 411 Pro gear, which is basically required for a car with that kind of horsepower to keep it from chewing up a standard street gear. You have to use the Pro gear with the larger 35 spline pinion. Just a lot more strength, handles the shock load a lot better. And of course, this is one of our Moser aluminum through-bolt cases. Basically the strongest through-bolt case you can get on the market today. No worries here.
Promotional considerations for Married with Dragsters provided in part by these fine companies.
Your pinion.
Oh, yep, you gotta hold that. That was reality TV.
Coming up next on Married with Dragsters.
So basically now you're going to try to get from there down to that smaller pipe size.
Pretty good, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
The Fisher.